Good afternoon. Do you say good morning? It's 12. Hello. Yeah, so nice to be here. So I want to start with a little bit of a personal story. I grew up in between Bordeaux in southwestern France and Lyme, Connecticut, just a few hours north of here, famous for Lyme disease and other things. And I spent much of my childhood really trying to bridge those two worlds. As a good French person, it started with food. So in France, I would work really hard to get my friends to try American foods. I'd try to get them to try pumpkin pie. And they would look at me and they'd say, "That's a vegetable. Why would anyone put a vegetable in a dessert?" Not trying it. And then I'd try with my friends here, and I'd say, "Oh, there's this French delicacy, when you eat the fish, you have to make sure to eat the cheeks, because that's the best part." They'd be like, "Oh, that's so gross." And, basically people made fun of me for my strange taste in food. But it was all delicious, and so I kept going. And I expanded to TV shows, and I expanded to clothing, and then that was cool. And what I found is that basically, again and again, I've seen the amazing things that happen when you connect different people, different perspectives that would not otherwise be in touch. And I learned that it goes way beyond delicious food. So early in my career, I really set out to get sustainability principles embedded at a massive scale. And I thought, business controls a lot of money, so let's see if I can go do that there. And so I worked as a strategy consultant, building bridges between environmental and social principles and the business world. And what I found is that if you could just translate sustainability principles into CEO speak, then you could get all sorts of interesting positive changes. So I helped get more sustainable food on the shelves at Walmart. I helped Nike reduce the environmental impact of their supply chain. And I also quickly found out that helping companies reduce their impact is important, but it is not enough. And it is not going to get us to the change, at least I want to see in the world. And so a few years back, I was like, wow, there's this other lever of change. It's called politics. I wonder how that works. It's a whole other world. And so that is why I joined New Media Ventures, where I'm now a principal. And New Media Ventures is essentially an investment fund and a donor collaborative that exists to accelerate progressive innovation. And we do that by funding technology and media startups that are coming up and we think are really promising. And once again, I'm building bridges and trying to connect innovation, kind of with the Silicon Valley archetype, with politics. You could say DC is kind of that archetype. And it is my toughest challenge yet. Actually harder than getting a French person to try a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which I thought was the hardest thing ever. On one end, Silicon Valley is really quick, as I'm sure many of you know, and as has been mentioned earlier, is really quick to diagnose politics as broken. It's in need of disrupting. People will tell me, well, if so many people don't vote, it must be because we're not using design thinking. Maybe, maybe not. And on the other end, similarly, political insiders are quick to dismiss anyone who hasn't done their time on a campaign, is completely clueless, and not worth of their time. And in spite of the chasm between these two worlds, a few of us, actually probably all of you in this room, have been working to build this bridge between technology and politics because we see a lot of opportunity there. And until recently, basically people were either in one of two camps. To be either like, well, politics doesn't matter, I care about these other issues, but politics is not for me. Or, how could social media possibly affect the election? Well, it's no longer the case. We're having very different conversations. In response to the election, people are crossing the political tech divide in unprecedented numbers. Political insiders are building tech tools. Venture capitalists are starting advocacy organizations. Everybody wants to run for office. It's amazing. It is incredibly inspiring. Groups like Indivisible, Grab Your Wallet, Stay Woke, many showcased here at PDF, are growing faster, actually, than venture-backed unicorns. And as funders, we have never seen this explosion of talent and creativity. In response to the election, we put out a call for funding. We said, hey, anybody who's creating something new or something in response to the election that is about resisting or rebuilding, come pitch us. We want to give you money. And 500 different startups pitched us. Just to give you a sense of scale, this time last year, pre all of this energy, we'd received 100 pitches. And so to put that another way, it means that there are at least 5 times more people working on this challenge that our democracy is in right now. And, as Mika mentioned, and hopefully you knew before, all these startups have at least one thing in common. They need money. And they need it right now. Actually, probably a few months ago, but right now will do. These startups are led by people who quit their jobs to do something because they cared. They're led by people who are doing this nights and weekends and volunteer time on credit card debt. And at this point, their savings are running out. It's been a number of months. They are burning out. Their family is saying, what are you doing? And if we can't raise money to help them keep going, to fund them, to fund the handful of amazing volunteers that are core to their success, I'm really worried they're going to pull back. And they're going to go take other jobs. They're going to go back. I was joking last night, they might go back and work for the Gap. Actually, I'm like, the Gap's fine. But I want them in this space. So you all know we can't let that happen. And I'm sure everyone in this room wants to help, but you're also probably finding, if you're a funder, and even if you're not a funder, it's really confusing. There are just so many great groups, but nobody has a track record. A number are brand new to politics. It's a complicated space. And it's also unclear what kind of interventions are most effective. Is it about getting people to call their representatives, or is it about faxing them? Or is it about having them show up at town halls? Should we focus locally? Should we focus at the state level? But if we want to block Trump's agenda, we need to focus on Congress. And then, oh wait, there's fake news. Oh, and also, if you're a funder, it's unclear that any of this aligns with your funding priorities. And so it's a mess. And on top of it all, you've probably noticed that a lot of the groups who have taken on the resistance badge look a lot like me. They're middle-aged, middle class, and they're white. And it's amazing that more people are mobilized than ever before. But how do we make sure we support new efforts in a way that doesn't come at the expense of people, in particular people of color, who've been doing amazing work for years in a really under-resourced environment? So here's a few things I've seen can help. Many funders are becoming bridge builders, too. And they are creating fabulous fusion recipes, if I may say so. They're letting go of their funding silos and choosing the best from the different worlds of technology and politics to adapt their strategy to this incredible moment. I've found that the funders who are being most effective right now are thinking both like grassroots organizers and like venture capitalists. The funders who are thinking more like grassroots organizers are realizing that what you have to do is look for emerging leaders who have direct experience of the problems they're trying to solve. Leaders who are empowering bottom-up, nimble, creative, and highly networked solutions. When there's no map, you need to let go of your need for top-down control and just support the people who can quickly respond to issues and find solutions as they emerge. Funders are also thinking like venture capitalists. And instead of putting all their eggs in one very well-vetted plan, very, very pretty basket, they're letting go of their overcaution. And they're saying, you know what, I'm going to place a portfolio of strategic bets, and I'm going to measure my success based on the overall performance of this portfolio, and not the specific investment that I make, because some of those investments might be the linchpin in the fight ahead or just somewhat helpful. And it's really hard in this confusing moment to tell the two apart. Really, we're just living through incredible times. And there are some very, very low lows and also, I think, some amazing highs. And I think by combining the creativity and nimbleness of grassroots activists and the risk tolerance of venture capitalists, letting go of funding silos, top-down control, and too much caution, we can really navigate this moment. So what are we talking about? The 60 most promising startups out of the 500 we evaluated are collectively raising $30 million. That's what they need to keep going. And actually, it's not that much. I'm sure a lot of you know the startup Juicero, and they have raised $120 million from investors. If Silicon Valley can spend $120 million to reinvent juice, surely I know we can find $30 million for our democracy right now. And actually, I know that people in this room can make it happen. There's a lot of funders here. And what I want to challenge each funder in this room to do is get $1 million out the door by July 4. That is what we're going to do at New Media Ventures. And I invite you to join us to catalyze a permanent shift in citizen engagement in this country. With your help in 2021, I see a country where taking civic action is a daily habit. I see a country where elected leaders are reflective of the people who live here. And I see a country that is truly tackling climate change, inequality, and injustice. Thank you.